We're going to get him started here.
All right. Well, when we had that steelhead slam and Jeff Blood was in tying on the White Death, and it's very good. It was not catching fish. I mean, every time he threw it out, it was hitting. I just tied a few variants like around here with the Emerald Shiner. So if you can zoom in on that, I tried to use the same technique but get it to look like an Emerald Shiner. So we'll be doing this fly today, but all the different, I mean, it's whatever material that you have at hand. I did one that's rainbow, with a rainbow body. You can take a Copic marker and mark up the zonker strip, and that's just a pearl.
That takes to the rabbit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, real nice. And then a grayer pearl. And of course you got to do the orange and blue. And it works. I mean, they all.
Do you do real small mini ones?
These have been the only size I've been tying for right now, and
Size hook are you doing?
like a size 8. Size 8 hook, I believe this is. This one here is 5X long, it says, but I don't think that matters a whole lot.
Are we recording it then?
Yes, we're recording.
We're recording.
All right, so like always, first thing I'm going to do is just apply my thread.
Speak loud for the people in the back.
All right. Now the way you want to prepare, at least the way I like to prepare the zonker strip, is just by pulling just a little bit off the front. That's going to be my tie-in point at the head. Pull some of that fur off. I get it up on the hook, and I see, when I get my thread right to about the hook point, just in front of it. And I try to separate the hair where the thread is. Now once you get it separated, just wet it down and it'll stay apart. So you want to get a bare piece of leather there. Put that right above your thread. Whoop. Now I'm pinching here and I'm pulling the thread tight, that way it won't slide around. Just need a couple wraps, and I like to anchor it in front. Now I don't use any weight on this. If I was gonna use any weight, I wouldn't put it past my thread right here, because this whole area here is gonna be my head. And you really, with that leather there, you don't want a whole lot of material up here yet. So what I'm gonna start doing is forming that tapered body, just like a carrot. So this takes a lot of thread, but I go back to that start point and then back to about the hook point right there. And then I just keep adding thread that whole way, couple times. Back to the front. Now this next time I might only go 3/4 of the way to the hook point and bulk that area up. And then now I might only do the front of it. Now it looks kind of ugly, But I'm going to be adding some more material on there, so it doesn't really matter how ugly it looks because it's all going to be covered up. With Jeff Blood's, he uses the Mylar tinsel, and I don't like doing that because every time I try to open it, it always frays so much, and you get it on. It seems to be more of a hassle for me, so I just use the flat braided stuff, and I'll leave that on the bottom because you want the bulk on the bottom, so I'll use some of that material just to add a little more bulk.
Covering that all up?
Now I'm,
Just tying that material
I'm just
in
tying
and
that.
anchoring it in good.
Yeah, I'm just tying that in to add more bulk to my body.
Thanksgiving, that's not a problem.
Now here I'm gonna start making a little ramp for my head. But you can see the carrot type shape. Now I have all my materials tied in. I'm going to make one more wrap back to the front, and that's right about where I'm going to want my body to end. So now this is tied in good, so you can pull on it tight and just touching wraps going forward. You can even, if you want it a little bulkier, do a slight overlap like I'm doing right here, and you'll get a little more bulk out of it. I like to leave my material at the top like that. Couple wraps. Snip off the excess. Now, another thing that you can do, you can take, just for a little added durability, you can put a little drop of Zap-A-Gap on top. And then when you pull that over, just let that sit, that rabbit strip sit on it. Now I'm just gonna make one wrap, pull tight, another wrap. Now I wanna trim that off, and I kind of do it at a V. Kind of remember how we would do an elk hair caddis and you trim at a 45? That'll be my last cut because I still want some of that leather there to form the head, but I just don't need all that material.
Rotate the vise just a hair here. See how he's got the,
So I made it,
Triangle.
I V'd it first, and then I kind of trim it like a caddis at the, on the top. But that's too, I could have went a little further forward with that. That's a big nose. Then I'll bring the thread back to the middle of the head. Now I like to put a little throat on them. And you don't need, you can use any type of flash. You could use this type of sparkly hair. You can use feathers, you know, a few barbs from a hackle. I'll just take that material, fold it around the thread, pull it tight, get any stragglers out of there. and then pull up, and it's seated right at the bottom of the hook shank. I'll wrap backwards a few wraps. Go back forward, and you can whip finish, or I just put a half hitch in it or two. And I love this UV glue for all kinds of flies. If it decides to come out. Right here, I put just a little too much on, so I don't want it to form a drip, so I'm turning it upside down so it goes back to the top. There we go. When I trim my throat, I usually just pull that material down like that. I try to get even with the point of the hook, trim, and you got a nice little throat. And then use your scissors to, I usually go from the front of the eye right to that tie-in point, that red thread. Do the same distance from the red thread to the tip, and then that's where you're gonna cut.
And
Right.
not only short strikes, but it'll also, during your cast, that tail will wrap around your hook shank, catch your barb.
Yeah,
That's a little long.
and it makes a nice sound.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I'd rather tie them a little long, and then once I'm on the creek, then I can just take my nippers and nip what I need off. Because if you make them too short, then that's it. But that's the finished product right there.
Hey, Rich, in building up that body, have you ever tried to just maybe use floss first? And
Oh,
then
you could do any. Yeah, you could.
instead of using all that thread?
Instead of using all that thread,
Yeah.
sure, you could use anything.
Okay.
And you could use any material. A couple, if you wanted to go a little fancier with your head, or if you were tying a different type of fly, you could use these fish masks to add eyes. They just slip right on like that. I would have did this before I glued it, of course. And then you could even put more thread in front.
Or
And
drop a
then-
UV.
Right. But that's what I usually do. Like when I would build up my thread head, then you could put UV glue there, slip this on, zap it, and it's in place. And then just to anchor it a little more, build up a little thread in front of it and whip finish.
Do you find that the fish will either take the eye, or will they?
No, they take them just the way it's tied like this. You know, but I mean, if you were trying to, just make it look a little better for yourself, or other patterns, because these, and then they also come in a weighted version. So instead of using, see, that would be the same type of fly, just with weighted.
They come with a black, we used to have to put a little dot in
Any other questions?
They used to come with a pack of eyes. I think they
They had
still.
that glass already in it. that they
Well, no,
could-
I did it.
Oh, you did
Yeah,
it. Oh.
when you bought them, they had a pack of eyes with them. That way you could use other eyes if you wanted to.
Any other questions before we stop
Because like
recording?
these, I got yellow. Some I got yellow eyes. I got
Nope.
clear,
All right.
red.